Hello, everyone. I wanted to talk today about healing yourself. Because we talk a lot about like healing modalities and ways you can heal yourself. And I remember at the beginning of my journey when I first started on this path of wanting to heal myself and just feeling like this is so complicated and so difficult, and there's way too much. And feeling like I would never know everything. And just overwhelming to the point where I was like, I don't want to do anything because it's too complicated. And dealing with a lot of overwhelm with that. So I wanted to break it down because it's just now kind of occurring to me at this point in my journey that healing is a really, really natural process. Healing is just something you do, right? You get a cut and it heals. Like, that's what your body does. It's the same thing with any sort of traumatic events, any emotional things. You heal. And the main way that you heal through emotional things and traumatic events, things like that, or these energetic wounds, is that you feel it and you experience it and you are fully present with it, and then you can shift it. And a lot of people, myself included, we get stuck in this rut of being like, oh, those are not good feelings and I don't want to feel them. And if you've been stuck in kind of the toxic positivity loop of like, no, it's all love and light, and it's all like, I just think positive thoughts, and which I think there's a time and a place to be like, you know what, no, I am in control of my mind, I can think positively. But that is not what we're discussing today. We're talking about shoving your emotions down, repressing them, and not feeling them. And it is the not feeling of your emotions that keeps you stuck in this loop of holding on to them and being stuck with all these things and these patterns because you refuse to look at it head on, feel it, process it, and then move on. You kind of look at it, go, oh gosh, that doesn't feel good, that doesn't look good, I don't want to think about it, I can't do it. And you shove it way deep down until it comes up again. And it'll come up again and come up again until you deal with it, until it is processed. And really, your body keeps doing that because it's like, oh my gosh, I'm just trying to help you heal. I just want you to feel this so that we can process it and move on. And we resist that really hard. And that's why we stay stuck in our loops. So I am actually creating a little free resource, a little workbook on beginning on this self-healing journey. Because there are things that I believe are deeper, things that are in your past lives, ancestral healing, things like that can be a little deeper that you might need assistance on. But if you have no idea where to start, that is what I'm creating this resource for. Because I remember at the beginning of my journey just being like, I'm overwhelmed and I have heard a lot of words and a lot of things and I don't know where to start. And I also don't know what works. And that was something that I kept coming up. I was like, well, I don't want to do this and have it not work. So word of advice with anything, whatever modality you choose, it really, as long as it resonates with you, it's the right one. Nothing is going to work if you do it once and then never touch it again. Or if you're not fully present in that experience, it's not going to work across the board. You can do anything. It would be like going to any therapy session, and instead of talking about what you are going through and what you are feeling and whatever negative emotions have come up, just being like, nah, I'm fine. Or talking, but being on your phone the whole time, being like, yeah, and then this thing happened, and like that wasn't great, and like that, and not being present in the experience. So this can be as effective as you make it if you choose to be present and really stay with what you are feeling. So So far, I have it broken down into kind of 3 different categories. Not sure what to call my third one, but mindfulness practices, movement practices, and then the last one is kind of miscellaneous things. So I haven't finished my workbook, which is kind of why I'm making this video. If you see it live, if you see it within the next day or two, and you have any comments on tweaking my wording or anything you think I should add, things that have been helpful for you, please let me know. I would love to add that. So starting with mindfulness, which is really just the process of being present in the present moment and having all of your awareness here, having your awareness in your body, in your emotions, in your mind, like not in your mind as like you're letting your thoughts run everything, but being present with what you are thinking and what you are feeling and what you are doing. So, number 1 is meditation. We all know it. And right, I feel like meditation is the top on that. Like, oh, if you do this consistently, it is super helpful. If you do it once and never go back to it, you will see no improvement. Meditation is, in essence, really, really easy. You just sit and let everything go and just focus on the present moment. And right, we all know that. We all know that meditation is good for us and that will benefit us. And of course, journaling. And that is really becoming present in your thoughts and in your patterns. Because I find a lot when I journal things out, that in the beginning, I'm like, I don't know why I'm experiencing this. And then I'm like, well, yes, I do. It's because of this, and this. Like, and it's so quick to break down that pattern and be like, oh, maybe I do know why I'm experiencing this. So journaling helps you get your thoughts out on paper so you can look at them a little more objectively instead of them spinning in your head on loop and just being like a broken record. You can actually look at them and process them. So and there's several that kind of go in different categories. But yeah. And one kind of bullet point under journaling is shadow work, which is really, shadow work is more just focusing on the shadow side, repressed side, more like pushed away side of yourself, your personality, your habits, your beliefs, all of that. So you can do shadow work through journaling, in that you can give yourself prompts that specifically relate to that shadow side, and then respond to that prompt through journaling and begin to process that. And shadow work is just, right, it's becoming mindful of those pieces of yourself that you are repressing, those pieces of yourself that you might not share as openly, or that you might at the moment accept as much, and learning to accept and reintegrate those pieces. And right, that is a natural process as you look at them and say, oh, okay, yeah, I do feel this way sometimes. I do have that belief. I do have these things, and I want to shed some light on that and reintegrate it into myself. So, yeah. So the next practices are movement, which is really, really important, because when you go through, just going through life, but especially if you have like a traumatic event in any way, it gets trapped in your body. And the point of that is that so that you don't go into full overload. It gets trapped in your body so that you can process it later. Now, the problem is a lot of people, when it comes up later, and this is the time that we are supposed to, naturally feel it and process it, we're like, no, I don't like this. Nope, don't like it. And you shove it down and you get stuck in that loop because it feels like it's too much. So that movement really helps you to move these things out and to release it from where it is stuck in your body. So first two are very similar, dancing and shaking. So shaking can just be, I mean, if you're someone who isn't able to stand up, you can still do shaking. You can just shake and shake it out, shake as much as you can, and really move and feel whatever there is to feel. And again, none of these practices work unless you are present and feeling whatever there is to feel there. So being really present in your body. And maybe you begin and you say, ooh, I have some tightness in my neck. And actually, even as I'm doing this, I'm like, okay, there's some tightness there. And maybe going into, okay, like moving that out. And then maybe I start to feel like, oh yeah, like that feels like stress. That feels like the weight of the world. That feels like I'm carrying so much on my own right now. And you start to process. Or maybe you start to feel a pain in your stomach and you're like, oh, this feels like when I was bullied when I was a kid and I felt really powerless. And you finally process those feelings of powerlessness and you can move them and move it out. So, I mean, we all know what dance is, but the shaking is very similar, and you can, even when you're standing up, I should have done this right, because stand up, but when you're standing up, you can just stand with your feet flat and then moving your feet and slamming your heels onto the ground, and you can alternate them or doing it together, like lifting your heels, setting them down, lifting your heels, setting them down. And I do it so that I can feel that vibration from when your heels hit on the ground, and it sends that vibration up your legs. And that kind of, right, that is what is waking things up and helping you to move things out. So I like to find that vibration and stay centered in that feeling, because it's a different feeling than just moving. That impact. Oh yeah, even there you can feel it. That impact up your arms is a little bit more that you can center into. So yes, and then dancing. And I recommend putting on music that makes you feel the emotion that you need to work through. I have a song that I love by the singer Ashniko called Panic Attacks in Paradise. And that is something I really, really resonate with from different times in my life when I've struggled with anxiety. And there's always someone who comes along and is like, what are you anxious about? You have nothing to worry about. Your life is great. And you're like, oh, great. So now, right, I'm in paradise, I'm in this beautiful place, and I'm having a panic attack. And the lyrics really resonate, it really hits home. And when I feel like I need to work through any sort of anxiety, a lot of different negative emotions, I play that song and I dance to it and I sing to it and just like feel everything and stay really, really present in that. I remember times when I was very depressed that I would stay in that feeling, because at the time it might make sense if you've experienced depression, but it felt good to feel something. So I would just stay in those really negative emotions and stay in the sadness. And I do remember finding that if I played music that made me feel everything, and I would feel my hopelessness and my depression and my sadness and my pain, I would work through it. And then I would be like, oh, well, it doesn't feel as intense anymore. And that is something, I love intense emotions. So, right, even when they were very negative, it's still the intensity of it and the fire of it that I'm like, it makes you feel the most alive. It makes me feel the most alive, which I know not everyone is like that. But so I remember discovering that even as a teenager, that I was like, ooh, I can actually work through and shift this. And right when I actually wanted to move out of those feelings, I could do it. I would play 2 or 3 songs and feel it and cry and just like let everything out. And then you're like, okay, I'm good. But I also, right, I didn't always want to move out of that. I was also very much in a victim mindset and wanted to stay in my depression. So sometimes I chose not to work through those things, but yeah. So, yeah, the dancing is really, really powerful, and just staying in your body and staying in whatever it needs. And all of these are better if no one else is home, if you have a space to yourself, especially if you can, like, make sound, because I have several sound practices. So the next one is an intersection between a mindfulness and a movement practice, and that is yoga. We all know yoga is awesome if you have tried it. Before I tried it, I assumed that yoga was really overrated, and then I tried it and I was like, okay, I think they're onto something. This is actually pretty good. So, but that is me. Not everyone likes yoga. Some people like other things. I would also add on here like walking or hiking, if you prefer that slower pace of kind of a meditation walk. Walking, staying present, and just feeling whatever you're feeling and processing as you move your body in a really gentle way. So just realized after I was going to make a point earlier about yelling, and I realized I have multiple sound practices on here. So maybe I will make that a category. So as I was, so I had talked about the song that I love to sing and dance to. And I've always been drawn to singing, and always just kind of assumed like, yeah, whatever, it's just a thing that I like to do. And within the past few months, I started having these sounds come out that was more like vocalizing. So more like, and part of this I do think is that I started having light language come through, and I can channel light language. But deeper than that, this is a healing modality, I have found, because I finally did some research on it. So this kind of vocalizing is called vocal toning, and it is just making those sounds with your own voice, very similar to the sounds that you will hear from sound healing when you hear the crystal bowls, the singing bowls, things like that. You can make a very similar sound with your own body. And because you are making it with your own voice, you feel that vibration, and it vibrates from inside out. I like to go with the feeling. So sometimes feeling it up here and making the air come out through your eyes, and just like, and you can put your fingers there and feel your sinuses vibrating. Or sometimes it feels better to have it coming out of the chest, and putting your hands there and feeling into that vibration. So that is another practice you can do. And then another one, which is more used only for rage or for anger, frustration, is screaming. So some people as kids were taught to scream into a pillow. Awesome, awesome, awesome practice to be teaching your kids and sharing. Because screaming, right, you're using your vocal cords and like getting that out. You're transmuting that energy. And you can still do this as an adult. It was not something I learned as a kid. It is something I learned recently, and it is so helpful when you're really feeling that pent-up emotions. Just scream and just like yell and let it out. If you are in a place where you really can't be, yelling into a pillow, screaming into a pillow is very effective. So that is really good. Yeah. And also along those lines, if you are feeling a lot of that anger and rage, is to beat up that pillow as well, just like hitting that and going for that. If that is something that feels good, a lot of people can like work through a lot when they are hitting that and letting that rage out, letting that anger out. I'm not someone who deals with a lot of anger. I have a lot of other emotions that I'm dealing with, but so far anger has not been one that I need to get out a lot. So when I have tried to do that, I'm like, no, I don't have anything to be angry about, so I can't really like beat this up right now. But yeah, if that is something you deal with and you need to get that anger out, try that out. Okay, and then my last few are the miscellaneous ones. So one is EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique, I believe. And it is tapping. So you tap on different meridian points, and it is a combination of affirmations and kind of energy work that you, as you tap on these points, you are saying different affirmations and processing in different ways. And this is a reference I have learned solely through YouTube, and I really enjoy Brad Yates's YouTube channel. So he has a lot of amazing videos, and you can just follow along and tap with it. And that is one that I used it for a very long time, and I wasn't present in it, and you don't get very much out of it when you're not present. And then I did find a video of a woman talking about it, and she was like, when you are saying, you begin by saying, like, validating the situation you're in. So maybe you're feeling really angry and you're like, I feel so angry right now. I'm so mad. I am so upset. If you're just saying these words and you're not allowing yourself to feel the anger, then it's kind of pointless. Which I did for a long time, was just kind of like going through the motions and thinking and just saying the words and not feeling them. It's important to also feel them. So that is an amazing resource if you have not tried that out. And I can link his YouTube channel in the comments. I'll make sure I add that. Another is Affirmations, to help with that. So making an affirmation for whatever you're dealing with and just affirming that to yourself when you need it. Like if you are someone who experiences a lot of anxiety, saying, I am divinely protected. I am divinely protected. Things like that. Choosing an affirmation that helps you work through things, helps you stay centered on what you want to be centered on and focused on. And then my last resource is sound healing, which I will be honest, I have not tried a lot of, but I know a lot of people who recommend it and say they've gotten a lot of good out of it. And a lot of times that is done at, from what I have seen, sound healing events where you go and lay and go through a sound bath, which I have experienced in it, and I do enjoy it. To have different like crystal bowls and things like that. And the idea is that these frequencies and sounds, resonances, able to help you heal and help you shift things. So yeah, those are all of my bullet points for today on healing. So those are all my resources to help you heal yourself. If you have any more, please let me know. And I'm sure it would be a lot easier to have this all in a guide for you. So that is what I am creating, that you can reference this at your leisure. So when I finally finish that, hopefully over the next few days, I will add that in the comments for you. So yes. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. If you liked this, please like it. Let me know. Let me know what you want to see more of or what you have questions about, and I would be happy to make videos on those as well. So I have created that all in, that is done in the workbook, and that will be linked in the description box below. So thank you so much for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please comment below. Like it if you liked this. Share it with someone who could benefit from these techniques. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.